What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Yamcast 70. The energy has been restored. The Turbo Hayabusa has now been settled back down to the Busa doctor, so it's not even here right now, so everything's okay again. Everything's normal, don't worry. Today, we are looking at electric bike news. All three of our news articles today we're looking at are all electric. We've got news from Ducati, Damon, and Livewire, so that's going to be a ton of fun. For our call-in or DM portion of our podcast, we're actually going to be asking the boys over on Discord about their beginner bikes. What beginner bike they started on, whether they thought it was a good idea, if they would do anything different, they have to redo it. We're talking beginner bikes today on the server. It's going to be a ton of fun. And then lastly, we've got our meme contest for the week, which I actually don't even know what was the category. What
so it's not really a meme contest. More we're making a video, by the time you're seeing this Yamcast, it's already come out, of our most anticipated bikes of 2022.
Yes.
And I wanted to see what the Discord boys' most anticipated bikes of 2022 are. And I wanted to know what they were going to pay for it.
Nice.
Whether, like, how desperate they are to get this motorcycle. Whether or not they would, sacrifice their children for it, or, make a deal with an elder god or something.
Ah, yes.
We're going to see if they figured that one out, because apparently Whitney said the rules were a little hard.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll check them out. And now we're going to get started with the podcast. Stick around. Alrighty, Spite, lead us off with our first bit of news. What do we got?
All right, so our first piece of news comes to us courtesy of Ducati, and this seems like it's a little bit of a walk back, where they said they weren't going to get involved in the electric bike market. They were going to do synth gas and other stuff, and here they are debuting their Moto e-bike, Misano.
Tisk, Ducati, going back on what you said.
It's the V21L.
So this is interesting for Ducati because they have never made an electric bike before, as far as I understand.
Nope.
And the interesting part about this is that Ducati is actually going to become the sole supplier for Moto E in 2023, taking over from Energica, which is kind of a big deal.
Suck on that, Magic Toaster.
Yeah, Energica boys on suicide watch.
But it's just crazy to me that Ducati's walking back this, we're never getting into electric bikes.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, this is getting in a big way. Like, this is serious R&D cash being thrown at electric bikes for you to be the sole supplier.
I mean, that thing looks freaking slick, though. Not gonna
Well,
lie.
Spite, we have to point out, though, that it has a double-sided swing arm. So
is it really a Ducati?
It's not my Ducati. Okay, hashtag not my Ducati.
All right, we have to check this. What is the Jeep Ducati?
Do a what is it? GP21 it would be.
Yeah.
For last year.
So the Lenovo Ducati. Hashtag not my Ducati.
A dual-sided swing arm. Uh-oh. Bummer.
That's a bummer.
I mean, it's like they know that it's like there's no way to get like proper rigidity without getting a dual-sided swing arm. They're like, it doesn't work.
But all the simps online are like, you have to have the swing arm.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, the V4R in Superbike does have the single-sided swing arm and the aluminum wheels. It looks super cool on the side of the tire in races.
Yep.
It looks really cool.
But, I mean, isn't Superbike kind of just like everybody's out there having fun, really? More so than GP, where everybody's really trying.
I mean, Superbikes, I mean, you could make it one of two ways, right? You could say Superbike is this, feeder series for GP, and it's like, all this talent comes through and blah, 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 and it's like homologated bikes, and it's bikes you can buy at the dealership. Or you could say it's where GP careers go to die. And people just go out there to play around for a few more years before they actually retire, which is what was happening for a little bit, but now it seems to be a little bit more a parody.
I'm not sure. Who's gone from Superbike to GP?
Cal Crutchlow did.
Okay. Because I know there was Jake, whatever his name was.
Jake Dixon?
Yeah. Didn't he go from
Superbike? I thought he was Moto 3, Moto 2.
I could be wrong.
Ben Spies. Ben Spies, 2009 champion, right? He went from Superbike to MotoGP. But the funny thing is, like, there seems to be a one-way street where, like, you can go GP to Superbike and do okay. Superbike to GP seems to be a harder thing for people to figure out.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, because the bikes are so different. They're one-off factory chassis, and the braking is completely different from what I understand. The tires are really different.
Yep.
But if you're gonna be fast, you're gonna be fast, and maybe you can figure it out. But anyways, we're getting off topic here. The Moto E range is a new thing that Dorna has been doing along with like their esports stuff. They're trying to bring more people into the fold of motorcycle racing. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, look, if Ducati is now the sole supplier for Moto E, they've got 8 bikes on the grid for 2022. If they can't make something happen, some sort of championship, I mean, they have to win Moto E because they're the only bikes on the grid, right? Who else is going to win? It's like when Yamaha says they were World Supersport champions in 2021. I'm like, there was 1 Kawasaki on the grid and 19 Yamahas. Of course you won. Of course you did.
The Moto E series is so strange to me because you go to GP, and I know you've never been because
I've never been. It's crazy.
But you go there and the atmosphere, hearing the bikes, especially at turn 12 when they're thundering down the straight, it's unbelievable. But this is just like
they're like, put on your headphones to simulate the sound. Please press play when they cross the start-finish line.
It's, we've seen some crazy leaps in the performance of these motorcycles.
Totally. I mean, they're accelerating like really fast.
Like I think Isle of Man, they were carving minutes off their time.
Yeah.
Not like seconds and tenths of seconds like we see in gas. They're carving big chunks out of every time they finish.
And it'll be really cool to see how the Ducati does versus these old Moto E bikes that have been around. To give you guys some context, the Moto E bikes do times that are similar to the Moto 3 bikes, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Because they're so heavy. That's the thing.
Yep.
So they have a bit of a trouble actually, putting down really, really good times because they're so damn heavy. But it would be cool to see more investment in this stuff and just seeing different types of racing. But I agree, there's nothing like hearing a thundering like 20,000 RPM, V4 going down the straight.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's awesome.
But this is just, this trickles down.
Yes.
If they do this, they're gonna make a street bike. They're just gonna.
With all this R&D, right?
They have to.
They have to make a street bike or something electric.
Which makes me wonder, when does the Panigale come out?
Nice. I honestly think that this is Ducati just trying to squish Energica with their big Italian thumbs. Because they're like, oh, you think you're going to make a bike that looks like the Lego Panigale? You, we're going to sell electric bikes, Because I think a lot of people would be interested in buying an electric Ducati. I think some electric simps would want that,
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And you could finally afford it because it's not going to have Desmos.
They'll find a way to put Desmos in there. They'll call it Electro Desmo or something, They're like, oh, what if the, like when you crack open like a Game Boy or something, the little battery terminals, right? Mm-hmm. What if the little terminals are like little Desmo valves, like the positive terminals? and they squeeze up,
unlatch it.
Yeah. All right, enough clowning on Ducati and their electric bike stuff. What's our next bit of electric news?
It also involves Ducati, but in a different way. This one is wild. Okay, so Damon Motorcycles is this Canadian company that blew up 2 years ago at CES. They unveiled their Hypersport motorcycle, and everybody just like jizzed their collective electric bike pants. It was supposed to be, what are the numbers here? 200 miles an hour, I think.
I think it was 200, 200, 200, right?
Yeah,
it
200 miles an hour, 200 mile an hour top speed, and 200 miles of range.
Yeah.
Which is like a lot for an electric bike.
Crazy.
And everything's going well and good, and then they're like, we need to, this line is is awesome. It's so good. Where is it? All right. If we can't prove that we can build a second bike on the same platform as the first, then the fear is this company is going to need $50 million every time it wants to produce a motorcycle.
Yeah, and he says we have to prove the platform concept is real and that the bikes can do that. Yeah.
Yes, and so now they're taking the Hypersport and they're creating the Hyper Fighter, which is a street fighter, which is the most basic way to convert one platform to another.
Yes.
And this, here we go. So yeah, 200, 200, 200. And then it was also going to have all these crazy features, 360 degree radar system.
Yep.
The shift feature, which changes the rider triangle as you ride at the push of a button. And for 25 G's.
That would probably make me feel like my clip-ons are going through my forks. You know, like if my rider I just start slipping through, I'm like, oh, I forgot to tighten the bolts. You know, like no, not like this.
That one meme where it's just like, hey God, it's me again.
Yeah, you're just holding the throttle, like.
So they're trying to drum up some hype because they're going to unveil the Hyper Fighter.
Yes.
At CES on the 5th. I'm going to play this Ducati video in the background, and y'all watch it just really carefully. I'm going to mute it, too, so that we don't have any issues. This is a piece that Ducati put together to drum up some, you know, just be like, it's just hardcore Ducati simping. They're talking about how, what makes an orchestra? Is it pianos? Is it trumpets? Is it bass, cello, all this stuff? And then they're like, no. And then it's the Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And so this is literally just Street Fighter porn. And you're going to see a scene here that kind of looks like some Batman Arkham stuff that they shot in Chicago.
Yeah, specifically that right there. This scene.
Yeah. I mean, this feels right out of the second Batman movie.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I mean, the fire's coming out of the bike and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He cracks a big fat wheelie.
Yeah.
It's a great video, right? It looks cool. Damon makes a video to pump up their motorcycle. See if you can spot anything that's a little odd here.
Yeah,
aside from the just mega cringe
that
the rest of this video is. I mean,
especially that part where it's like she's like protesting. I'm like, oh, and what was that?
Yep.
What is that?
Oh,
what was that?
Oh, that's their bike's concept image.
Yep.
And then
that's literally just the Street Fighter. That's not good, dude.
It's not even subtle.
No, it's a lot from the original one.
Yeah, having watched them back to back, they ripped a ton of stuff.
The worst part about this to me is later on in this article we find out that Damon is currently sitting on $48 million worth of pre-orders, right?
Which is insane.
So, because apparently, somehow, they convinced 480,000 people to give them $100 each, right?
Yeah, so then where's the number that we found? Okay, so scroll down a little bit. I'm looking for 48s here.
I think it's right there.
When is production? Yeah, okay. $100 deposit. They have 48 million. The math on that is 480,000 people have given them $100.
Which we just find, number one, a bit hard to believe, and number two, like, what? Holy you know, if you actually pulled that off.
Yeah.
Got 480,000 people to give you $100.
But for $48 million, you could not take your bike to a racetrack to film some stuff?
Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, I'm able to go up to Eagles Canyon on a weekend and come on, of course you could find a racetrack and put your bike on it. Please.
So literally the CEO of Damon says that is very unfortunate of the Ducati footage. And he says later on, where is it?
He says, so the video producer used the royalty-free footage of the Street Fighter. I doubt that it's royalty-free, man. Like, that's a Ducati product promo. Like, how is it royalty-free?
Yeah.
No way.
And like, okay, so he's saying they couldn't get a video of it's been difficult to impossible to get a video of the actual Hyperfighter because weather and lack of racetrack with charging facilities in the Vancouver. Just charge it before you get there.
Charge it before you get there. Do like 20 minutes and call it a day. It would have been better than being like, you literally stole Ducati footage for your bike that doesn't exist yet.
That's so bad, man.
Super bad.
And what this has done to Damon has actually done more damage than they think, because people have already been like, is this
doubting
real?
it, right? Yeah.
Because you were saying earlier, it feels like a Kickstarter where you're like, it may, give us some cash and maybe you can buy a motorcycle from us later on. And now that they're using Ducati footage, it's like, man, you guys don't even have a bike to show us.
Yeah.
Because if they had their motorcycle, they would have taken it to a track.
Yeah.
For sure. Maybe it's cold in Canada. They would have come here to film it. They got $48 million.
Yeah.
So this is rough bubbles for them.
Yeah, I personally think this is going to be one of those things that never sees the light of day.
Yeah.
I don't know, call me a pessimist when it comes to these things, but I'm pretty skeptical about big claims like that, I don't buy it.
I mean, the tech that they're looking at building, this motorcycle that can like transform, does the like automatic at the push of a button stuff, is stuff you haven't seen in the motorcycle industry yet. We talked about the J concept, the Kawasaki J concept, that has that like voice command to go into attack mode, and then the thing transforms.
Yeah.
But that was a stupid CG video.
Yeah.
With some of the worst voiceover I've ever heard.
But at least they showed their bike that they wanted to build.
Yeah.
Versus this, which it's like, maybe it's a Ducati, maybe it's not. It's not good.
I mean, at least pick a Street Fighter, some motorcycle that doesn't have one of the most iconic tail sections in motorcycling.
Yeah.
I mean, the diamond shape.
It's literally Panigale. You can see it from a mile away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a big whoopsie daisy that's done more damage than good.
Yeah. We'll see what Damon can cook up here. I don't know if there's much else to say about it other than they kind of goofed up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know about Damon. I don't know.
A lot of people have been excited about it. I've heard people being like, you got to talk about the Damon. You got to, but there aren't any.
Yeah.
We're talking about what's essentially vaporware at this point.
And again, we were talking about it where if you pull together $48 million of seed money from investors, you would be beholden to what you're doing with that $48 million. Mm-hmm. If you crowdsource it from 480,000 people, you just have $48 million in deposits, and what you do with it is kind of up to you. Yeah. And they say it's refundable, but I bet you there's some fine print in there somewhere.
Like they get to keep a chunk.
Yeah.
Or they can claim it's already been spent.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
And then you as a small-time investor, it's not even an investor. You're just holding your place in line to be able to buy something later, but you've given this company all this cash to do something, and they are not doing anything. They couldn't even get the bike to a racetrack to film it. What were they spending it on? Coke and strippers, right? Like...
Another TV and beanbag chair for the gaming lounge at the office.
Exactly.
I mean, this is not good for these guys.
Yeah.
So...
Speaking of money and those sorts of things, our next update has to do with that, right?
Livewire.
Yeah.
So this is.
Let me just read this headline, okay? And you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Livewire wants to grow from 400 bikes to 101,000 units sold in 5 years. So Livewire sold 400 bikes this year. Okay, to give you guys an idea. Yamaha sells, 5 million bikes in a year that we found out?
Yep.
Yamaha sells 5 million bikes in 1 year, okay? Livewire sold 400, okay? And they want to go from that to 101,000 units sold in 5 years. They've got some real Disneyland charts in this article of the numbers, the graph just doing this beautiful parabolic curve upwards where everyone in the world buys a Livewire,
So before we get to that, we found out that we think it's the year the MT-07 came out, they did 25,000 units.
Yeah.
Because the article wasn't clear.
If it was total or just on that year. It has to have been just on that year.
Because there are so many MT-07s out there.
And that's one of the most popular bikes out today.
So, on the back of them getting Livewire kicked out into its own company, and later in the article they say that Livewire is not Harley Davidson.
It totally is, though.
It's the same thing. It's totally the same thing. I mean, all of these just they really want to sell a bike that says Harley Davidson on the side.
Yeah.
And they dropped the price from $30,000 to $21.99.
Yeah.
So Big price drop. And
Crazy
that's
that the badge costs $8,000.
Oh, yeah. I mean, imagine what an M8 Cruiser without the badge would cost.
Oh, you just look at Suzuki for that, right?
Those are like $7,000. So these are your lovely parabolic curves right here.
This is just like MBA Business School 101. It's like, make the number go up and to the right. Don't worry about the rest. Look at all the revenue we'll make.
So
like, dude,
2021 is 387 bikes sold. That's not even 400.
They rounded up.
They rounded up.
And so they're saying in 2022 it's going to be how many?
957.
And then
67?
somehow in 2023 it's going to be 7,000 bikes.
Yep, 7,300. And then 1,600, and then 53,000, and then 100,000, and then 190,000 in 2030.
Where on God's green earth do they think they're going to just somehow conjure up all these sales?
I mean, okay.
What the
So this is all right. So from 2026 to 2030 is 4 years. That's 400,000 riders that they're gonna sell these bikes to. Those are some Damon numbers right there.
Yeah.
Where are they gonna get 400,000 riders?
One figure that would be interesting is to find out how. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Maybe they're banking on the fact that there's going to be emissions laws so tight that other manufacturers are going to scramble to make electric bikes to just sell to somebody.
Yep.
And maybe they'll be positioned in a way that will be ready to sell bikes. Maybe that's where they're getting at. But
Yeah.
I think the electric bike market still constitutes a pretty niche and small sliver of overall motorcycling, man.
For sure.
It can't even, what do you think, 10% of all bikes sold? If that?
I doubt it.
If that?
Yeah, I mean, think about, you're calling all bikes. Are we going to call the Navi and like the Cub a bike? Because those are still, those still sell way more.
I'm going to look this up. How many electric, no, not, how, Google wanted me to know how many electricians die per year. How many, that's morbid. How many electric motorcycles, God, sold in 2021?
We were talking about sticking a fork in the 220 socket just to end it all yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, the surface won't do it. It's just stuck. Can you look it up?
Yeah.
This is gonna be all night to try to figure this out on this thing.
Here's Energica. Here we go.
Okay.
We're gonna assume that Energica is they're the whole industry. 14,000 units sold.
Here we go. The size of the market can help put Energica's overall sales into perspective. 97% increase in two-wheeled vehicles. Is that so? 7,478 units sold in 2018 and 14,739 units sold in 2019. Is that Energica or is that?
No, that looks like Europe's electric motorcycle and scooter market.
That's crazy, right? Like, so that puts the Livewire numbers into even more perspective, right?
Of 14,000 in Europe, they did 400 period in a year.
Yeah.
That's
so they're thinking that if that's their share of the market, right? And they think that they can probably increase a little bit of market share and blah blah blah. What they think that they'll sell 100,000 units of what, like several million electric bikes? I
No.
doubt it. Again, unless there's massive regulatory impacts for current motorcycling, dude. I don't see that taking off like that.
No, and like we've said a bunch, I really think that. Even in the EU, our gas engines are going to be grandfathered in. They'll
Totally.
just stop selling them.
Yeah.
And they'll stop making them, but they'll have to leave.
God, that'll be a bad day.
Yeah, it really will.
Yeah.
I think it's coming sooner rather than later.
For
if
sure.
I'm trying to read the tea leaves, but
Yeah.
I mean the thing about it is, it's just you're gonna have such a hard time. Like even if there's a buyback program, like the government will subsidize your new electric bike if you give them your old one so that they can crush it into Coke cans or whatever. No one's going to do that.
No.
I really don't think anyone's going to do that.
No chance. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
No chance.
I'd rather keep the DRZ until the day I die because it's going to live forever, that thing. It's just going to beg for death the whole time. But
Yep. The boys on chat here brought up an interesting thing that we can talk about really quick as well, is that I think electric motorcycle market is going to be leaning more towards the super cheap and affordable stuff rather than this top of the line $20,000 live wire stuff. It's going to be like the $3,000 or $4,000 e-bike stuff that people like to buy right now.
The swappable batteries that we've been
with the
covering.
swappable battery, maybe some with pedals so you can still use it after the juice runs out. That's where it's going.
Something you can put in your apartment.
Yeah, nope, dude, you're not going to sell 100,000 live wires at 20 G's a pop. Like,
nope.
No chance. And you know what? If somehow the Yamcast is still going around in, 2026 that they made this prediction, we'll come back to this episode and we'll be proven right. I'll put a calendar reminder on my phone.
That would be Yamcast.
Oh, Jesus.
1200.
I don't want to think about that. That's
1200 Yamcasts.
I'm going to put a calendar reminder
right now.
5 years from now. I have so many of these. My girlfriend and I do this all the time. We're just like, because we have like these different like bets and things going on. And I'm like, oh, in 3 years, this will happen. So we have all these reminders that come up all the time. I have them with my brother too. Okay, so what is it?
It's in 5 years.
This is going to be so funny.
They'll be selling 100,000 units.
Okay. See, Google thinks I'm a normal person, so it's going by month.
Yeah, no, you got to go by year.
Come on, give me the year. I'm sitting here scrolling. Reminder, that'll be faster. Okay. Check live wire sales.
In 5 years.
Yeah, check live wire sales. I'm probably going to even forget what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Date. Here we go. Check that out. 2026, December at 9 a.m. We'll check in on it. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. With all that being said, it's a very lofty prediction from Livewire. I don't think
Lofty
that'll happen.
to say the least.
Yeah. But that's going to wrap up all the electric news. Let's get back to talking about normal motorcycles with our beginner bikes on our Discord server. Let's go. Alrighty, folks, welcome to the Discord call-in DM portion of the podcast. This one's going to be a good one. We are asking our Discord boys about their beginner bikes. So if you started on a motorcycle, what'd you start on? Did you think it was an appropriate motorcycle? And would you change it if you could go back? We would love for you to send a DM to Spite with your comment, question, or suggestion based on that call-in topic. We will then read your comment on the air, so if you got something to tell us, go ahead and DM Spite on Discord and we'll read it out. But we can start off with our bikes. Why not?
Yep, sure.
So what did you start off on again? The Street 750?
I started off on a Harley Street 750. Yeah, 2016.
Do you feel like that was an appropriate beginner motorcycle?
Probably not super appropriate. I mean, it had more power than I needed. It was putting down about 69 horsepower. Just nice. Perfect number.
Nice.
But it was heavy, and the biggest complaint about the Street 750 is the front brake. Like even Lemmy in his video on it, you can go back and watch it. He talks about the front brake, and he's like, it's not good. And he tries so hard to be nice to Harley about it. And I didn't know any better at the time, but now that I am like deeply ingrained in the motorcycling world, whenever I hear that, I'm like, it's just trash.
Yeah.
A lot of the 750 was built bad.
That bike, that's the one that ended up as your girlfriend's bike later, right? Or
Nope,
did
that
she get
was the Street Rod.
Street Rod, okay. What was different between those two? I actually don't know.
So the Street 750 looks like a goofy cruiser. So
okay. Because I remember the Street Rod was almost like a naked bike, but the ergos were still kind of funky.
Yeah, so this is the Street 750.
It's
like a weird little Sportster cruiser thing.
Yeah.
And then there's the Street Rod, which is this guy.
Yeah.
Which is, that weird like naked deal.
They look very similar, but I can see the difference. Yeah, the Street Rod definitely with those. It's not even mids; they're definitely like behind your knees almost.
When I first saw this motorcycle, this was the first motorcycle I saw where I was like, "Yeah, I want it. I really want it."
Cool.
And I rode it, and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." And then I rode a motorcycle that I fit on, and I was like,
Yeah.
So, because this one was tiny.
It's a weird tiny bike. Yeah. And you're a bigger guy, so I can imagine that was a weird fit.
So if I was going to do it all over again, I would start on something different.
What would you start on?
Probably, given what I know now, I would tell myself to get a DRZ.
That's fair.
Just a supermoto and just have fun with it.
Yeah. It'll teach you everything. You'll learn everything. Yeah.
So what about you?
So, as many people in the Yami Noob universe know, I started on a Yamaha R3. It was my very first motorcycle. Never owned anything before that. And honestly, it was a really good starting point. I was really into sport bikes. I knew I wanted to go fast. I've always had that bug in me of going fast and doing fast boy things. And I think it was a pretty good starting point for me. I know that I'm the type of personality that if I had more power than that to start with, I would have gotten myself into trouble for sure. Because I immediately disrespected the machine once I got it. I was like, what can this thing do? And like within 2 months, I was in parking lots trying to wheelie the thing. So if I had gotten I was cross shopping actually a couple bikes whenever I first got my first bike. It was an R3, and then I was actually looking at a CRF 250L.
Because that's what you tested on the MSF for.
Exactly, and I really liked it. I was like, whoa, this is sweet. I was like, I can take this anywhere and go take photos of things and all that. I was like, this sounds fun, So I was actually looking at that too. And then I was also looking at MT-07. Those are my 3 bikes that I was kind of looking at. So they're all pretty different. I settled on the R3 because it was the first bike that a dealership called me back and said they actually had. The CRF I couldn't find, and the MT-07 I couldn't find either. And the R3 was the first one I test rode, and I was just like, cool, it's a bike, I'll buy it, and I just got it. Would I get it again if I had to start everything all over again? Honestly, and I know a lot of people might find this sacrilegious, I think I'd do Ninja 400. Knowing what I know now about how excellent of a track day platform that thing is, I could have kept it until now, as my beater endurance bike and, just this little absolute missile of a bike that'll just work forever. So I would have done a 400 for sure.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's even though it's the premium mediocre.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The perfect toilet. Is that what I called it?
The perfect toilet. That's in our thumbnail. All those Kawasaki people are going to say that you hate Kawasaki, and you would start on a Ninja 400.
Yeah, I would. It makes sense for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I know that even if I could go back in time and tell myself, be like, get a WR250, I'd be like, those look stupid. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But now let's see what the Discord boys have to say.
Yeah, so starting us off, we've got Wretched.
All right, Wretched here says, my first bike was an 883 Sportster, and I wish I would have started on something more interesting and less cliche. I think that's something that some riders get in their heads about the bike being cliche, about being kind of like it's an expected choice or this and that.
Yeah. I think the 883 is actually better served by a rider who's ridden a lot of other different motorcycles first. Because then you appreciate how weird and old it is. Yeah, totally. Because the Sportster, especially the 883, is this really weird happenstance in modern motorcycling.
Totally. It was it stopped development in 1983, right? And then it just kept being made with small tweaks here and there.
They added
FI.
fuel injection in 2007. They updated. They went to rubber mount in 2001.
Yeah.
They went to the modern Evo in 87.
Yeah.
So you every couple of decades, something big happened.
Yeah. But something more interesting than an 883, well, Vulcan 650, obviously.
Honestly, if I was going to go with something more interesting in the cruiser-ish space, I would try a Bonnie.
Yeah.
Those are really good.
Those are awesome. Yeah.
But they are kind of cliche.
That's the thing.
So... how about Fuchsia?
Fuchsia here says, small bikes are the best for learning quickly. They will let you know if you've made mistakes but won't punish you as harshly for it. If your concern is improving your riding as quickly as possible, starting on a 250 to 400 class bike is by far the way to go. I started on a CBR 300R and I'm happy with the decision, though I might have gone for an R3 or Ninja 400 instead if I could do it again. That kind of goes back to what we said in the video that we made today of R3 versus R7, right? Where it's kind of a little bike is just so forgiving. You can just whack the crap out of it, and it just says, no, it's okay. We'll get you through this corner, Yep. The little bikes are really, really nice to ride, honestly.
Yeah, they're even fun as somebody who's gone back from, 200 horsepower squid missiles. They're fun.
It's like everything with the twist throttle and a motor is just good.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Yeah. Jixer Squid is up next.
Jixer Squid says, my first bike was a Honda Z50 at the age of 7. I'm a huge proponent of starting on dirt first. Regardless, my first real street-ish bike was a KLR 650. Not the best for true beginners, too tall, but the good thing is you're going to drop your first street bike, frame sliders, rails, or bust. Yeah, starting on dirt first. We often say that's a great idea.
Fastest guys are born in the dirt.
Totally. And for me, I just wasn't lucky enough to have parents willing to give me a dirt bike, you know? I asked for a motorcycle for years and years and years, never could get one. Did you ask your parents for a bike when you were little? Nope.
No, it wasn't a thing I'd even considered until I moved to Austin.
Yeah, and then you just bought it for the parking, right?
Yep,
That's
I bought it because
funny.
it's cheaper. And then I realized how expensive motorcycles are.
Yeah.
I was like, I've made a horrible, amazing mistake.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, too, where, like, you know, if you had never started riding, you wouldn't be here right now.
No.
I wouldn't be here right now. Like, it's just, life is kind of funny like that with motorcycles. You meet and do so many cool things.
Yeah.
But first bike is a KLR 650.
It's actually not terrible.
Not terrible, I would say. If you're a bigger guy, kind of like the DRZ, it's a good option. It doesn't make much power at all. It's fine.
We said it earlier. It's the donkey's donkey.
Total donkey bike. Yeah. That's funny.
I mean, one KLR is the same as any other KLR. Once you do the doohickey mod, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Crazy Jimmy.
Crazy Jimmy here says, the first and only motorcycle I've rode is a 2017 Moto Guzzi V7 III. Having never ridden anything else, it's a fun ride feeling it squirm under you with a transverse V-twin. I'm most likely going to buy an SV650 soon, and I can't wait to feel the difference. You're going to be a big difference between those two.
Big difference.
SV is going to feel like a little pocket rocket versus the Moto Guzzi.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting first bike, a Moto Guzzi V7 as a first bike.
Totally doable. It's just kind of expensive and hard to get serviced.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're not. I mean, they look cool. I've always thought the Moto Guzzi Transverse V is really neat.
Yeah,
because oftentimes they do red headers or red heads on them.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get in their heads, like, you know, you talk about the Bonnies, it's like, oh, it's a 900cc bike. It's like, well, it's not like other 900cc bikes. It's kind and friendly, and it just makes good torque, you know?
Yeah.
It's not really going to scare the like another 900cc bike. Like the Brutale Dragster we had.
Oh my
that was
God.
800cc's, and that was just like, I'm going to rip my arms off.
That thing was just, you really needed a smoke after you got off that bike. It was... God, the sounds that thing made was so good.
That thing was awesome. I kind of wish that I had just pinged Chris and be like, let me buy it from you. Come on. Give me a good price. Let's make something happen.
It was like number 144 out of 300.
Yeah.
Oh, so nice.
Why do I feel like whenever I'm done with Yami Noob, I'm literally going to have like 12 motorcycles that I've just collected over the years, and I'm going to have to store them somewhere.
You just have to have like a just garage built.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Magic Toaster. Probably going to hear about an Energica.
Magic Toaster here says, my beginner bike, a 2017 Energica Ego. Bought it for $11,000 with 3K miles on it. The previous owner traded it in for an H2. Smart man.
Yep.
Smart man. With the different power modes, I was able to build up to full power over many months, and I don't regret it one bit. Next bike might be the electric Ducati, and I'd sell Yami's shins for one. That's a peculiar first bike.
Yeah.
An Energica
really
Ego,
weird.
that's... You're definitely in a minority there. I don't think many people would start there.
I mean, those are properly fast.
Yeah.
So,
you know, if he respected it with the modes and all that, we don't recommend that. But
if he respected it with modes and so forth, he might be the only person on the planet who's ever done that.
Yeah.
Because, like, the first thing I did when I got the Street Fighter V4S, I was like, I'm putting it in race mode.
It was funny because I was trying to explain to Whitney, because she's still having the thing about wide open throttle, right? And she was talking to me about it. She was like, so do you, every time you ride, like, you go wide open? I'm like, yeah. Any bike I get on,
wide open.
I'm going to go wide open. I want to see what it can do. She's like, that's insane. I'm like, that's what everyone does.
Right?
Right?
I was just pinging my bike off last night when I was riding it back to the guy. I was just like, I got to be wide open. It's
of course.
fun.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Infernal Saxon.
Infernal Saxon here says he started on a 2017 Z650. Very
Rip.
forgiving of my... Did you say rip? Very forgiving of my mistakes and highway-capable commuter. Wish I found an SV650, though, instead when I started. As we mentioned on the channel, a lot of you don't like to admit it, but some 650s are better than others. The Z650 is not one of our favorites. The engine's just not very characterful. And I think a lot of folks that are on Ninja 650s and Z650s probably queue up an exhaust clip at MT-07 and they're like, I've made a terrible mistake.
Oh, dude, the amount of work that we put into our Z650.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's just like we put an exhaust on it and a power commander and it's like it still wasn't fun.
It wasn't good. The handlebars are all tiny for some reason.
Yeah.
It was weird. But then we got the ZH2 and I was like, everything is forgiven, Kawasaki. This is the greatest motorcycle ever.
Next up, we got CP4 Rider.
CP4 Rider says, well, I started on a 2005 Suzuki SV650 that was an auction buy. Nice. I had heard that they were bulletproof, so I wasn't worried to hear it running rough or what sounds like it had been dropped and all plastics broken. It also broke down on my 4-hour drive home in 20-degree weather. Haha. I loved it. I learned a lot how to work on it and fix it up and actually sold it for a profit after a new set of plastics. Love the power and how it handled. Hated the ergonomics, the sport bike seating position, so I've been on naked bikes ever since. Z900 for a year, now the MT10 for about 6 months. I'm in love with the MT10. Hard not to be.
Yeah.
Dude, so many riders start on the humble SV650. This guy kind of reminds me of Josh. You know, he started on SV, fixed it up, flipped it, got another one, you know, like, this is a great bike.
SVs they're a great choice.
Yeah.
It's impossible to go wrong with one.
Impossible. Yeah.
Next up, we got Indy.
Indy says their first bike was a CBR 929RR. Loved it. Ready for the 1350cc Busa. Wow, a 929 is a first bike. What do you think?
Okay.
All right.
So let's see what the 900 was making. The 900RR was making like 110 or 120 horsepower.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So this is probably making like 130 or 140.
Yeah.
So
pretty serious.
All right.
And it's old school leader bike, so no TC, no ABS, nothing. It's just hang on, you know.
Yup.
That's pretty serious. Maybe you just live somewhere with a bunch of straight lines and you just keep opening it up. But if you take it out on track, you're going to be humbled very quickly by some kid on a 400.
Yeah. I mean, that 929, the 929s are sweet. They look really cool.
They're awesome. Yeah.
But I wouldn't start on one.
No.
Kialna is up next.
Whoa. Got a big text here. Kiana says, well, my beginner bike is obviously the Kawasaki Ninja 125. It's small beans in the US, but here it's fine. Honestly, it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Most 125cc bikes have shitty throttles and are entirely thrashed. My first experience was one of those China 125 bikes, and it was just awful to ride, and the gearing was so shit it kept stalling. Even the instructor stalled it all the time. So when I rode the Ninja out of the dealership, it was so different. Now, having ridden big bikes, I've definitely spoiled with the small 125 because it really does not feel very different in terms of throttle feel and response. It's all in the power and torque. I guess in having ridden big bikes, there's nothing like twisting the throttle and feeling those butterflies in your stomach. That's the one thing I can't have on my small one. But I've been spared the misery of a weak 125, and as now I'm so familiar with this bike, I know how to ride it in all conditions. I've skidded the rear and been able to take it back. I've honestly thrown it around on the street and outridden people on big bikes and twisties purely due to the confidence that I have. Hell, confidence I gained on this little bike has caused me to fail an exam a few times. I've recently hit 7,000 miles on it, and I'm very happy with it. A new bike is on the horizon, though, but that's for the contest. So obviously this is a very America-centric podcast, and we often forget that many people start on 125s. I will say, though, if I was like 16, I'd love a 125. I'd love anything. Like, I had to wait till I was a grown man with my own place and a job to get a bike, you know? It sucked. I had to wait forever to get a motorcycle. 125s are sweet. I've never ridden one.
Too.
They are pretty disposable.
Well, we rode the Groms. Do those count?
No, because the 125s are a little bit bigger. They're like more
so they're
full size.
Even slower.
They are. Yeah.
Yikes.
They're like, well, no, they're faster because they're in a higher state of tune. The Grom makes like 9 horsepower, right?
I think it makes like 11.
The Grom?
Yeah.
Let's call it 10. I think like an R125, like the Yamaha, I think that's like 17 horsepower.
Really?
Yeah. Because the A1 license is capped, I think, at like 16 horsepower.
R125 specs.
Look at that, 15 horsepower.
bhp. Well, damn.
And 140 kilograms wet, which is, I don't know, times 2.2, right?
Yeah, so like 320, 330? Is that what that math is?
Oh, it's got to be lighter than that, right?
140.
140 times 2 would be 280.
280,
300 pounds.
Yeah, something like that. Head math is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
I majored in movie making. And now I make memes. Next up, we've got...
Kagamaizen.
Yeah.
Kagamaizen says, started on and currently using a Honda Rebel 300. I love it, but if I could go back and start again, I'd start with the 500 or the 1100. 1100 is probably not a great option, I wouldn't say. That's a bit spicy for a first bike.
It's a very spicy first bike. That thing was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good motorcycle.
The 500 is great, though.
Yeah, I think, honestly, one of the most perfect entry-level bikes. I mean, how many people have started on Rebels? My God. Yeah. My God, the old 250s, like how many of those bikes have been little MSF bikes and taught people, just these little mules that have gotten people to be on two wheels, you know?
Just bazillions of them out there.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the 500 is it's the same kind of abysmal parallel twin that's in the CBR 500R, but they geared it differently, so it's a little bit more torquey. It's a cruiser, so you're not expecting it to do the sport bike thing. They're still really light, and it's the P-twin, so it's smoother on the highway than a single.
Yep.
So the 500's a great choice.
Yeah.
Next up, the Dr. Zero.
The Dr. Zero says, the first bike when I was 8, I don't know what model it was, but it was a 50cc 4-stroke Honda. 3-speed with no clutch. Nice. Dad followed me around on his bike and said it went 38 miles per hour. That's kind of fast for a 50cc. Mm-hmm. Super fun back in the day. First street bike was a 1982 Yamaha XJ750 when I was in high school, which was also tons of fun. Might be dating himself a little bit here, unless he just bought like a super classic old bike when he was in high school or something.
The XJ750, that just sounds like straight up UJM stuff.
It is.
There.
I believe it's one of the old shaft drive Yamahas.
XJ750. That is a 4-cylinder.
Was I right? I think I was right. I don't see a chain.
Like a shaft, yeah.
Yes, I was right.
That's okay. Yeah, that kind of looks like the oh shit, what's the Honda V4 Magna? Kind of got some Magna.
Kind of the Magna energy. Yeah. This kind of feels like an old school version of your 750 that you started on.
Oh yeah.
You know, probably perform the same.
Little dig at Harley right there. They deserve it.
Hey, it's too easy.
Okay, next up we got Bradley Hall. I was in 2006, and yeah, shaft drive.
Okay. I was in high school in 2006. Bradley Hall says, my first bike was a 1987 YZ125. Nice. I would not get that again because I ended up racing in the 90s. My body hates me now for it. My first road bike was a 72 CB750. I would get that again only because I had dealt with carbs before. CB752, man, that's it's funny that for some people it was like their first bike, because back in the day that was like a super bike.
Yeah,
that was like king dick fastest thing you could get.
It blew everybody's tits off when it first showed up. And then Kawasaki was like, you gotta make something crazier.
Kawasaki was like, let's make a 2-stroke that's gonna literally kill people, and they did.
Yep.
87 YZ125 though, that's sweet. That's like an old school motocross bike. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny is some old motocross guys still swear to this day that some of those 90s 2-stroke bikes were the best bikes ever made, and the new ones still don't hold up to it, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is that really true? You know?
That just seems like they're looking at the rose-tinted glasses.
Is it really the best thing since sliced bread? Because my KTM 250 is looking sweet.
It says you are correct.
I'm always correct.
Okay. 2-stroke forever.
2-stroke forever, baby. Thanks, Bradley. All right.
Next up, we've got Emo Muffin Man.
Emo Muffin Man says his first bike is a current one, a 2006 Honda Shadow 750. It was the quickest, cheapest way for me to get on two wheels, but definitely not the bike I want. It's been great to learn on and not in any way powerful, but it's unfortunate it's small land whale. I really wish I would have started on either a naked bike or something like a Ninja 400, which is more the style I'm looking at. There's definitely no look back factor to the old Shadow. Oh, that makes me sad.
That is a little sad.
Yeah. But that's how we always say that you know what beginner bike is right for you is if you look back at it after you park it. If you don't look back, it ain't right.
The Shadows are a weird happenstance because they're like really slow.
Yes.
The Shadow line is like they're probably the worst metric cruisers in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're slow, they're cumbersome, they have nothing going on.
Yeah.
I'd get a Sportster.
Hey, if you want the charm, you know.
Yeah.
But would it be cliche?
I mean, I think any cruiser is kind of a cliche a little bit.
Yeah.
It kind of comes with the territory on a cruiser.
I think so.
Next up is Just Jack.
All right, Just Jack says, I started on a crappy 1997 DR650 I got from my younger brother. At 5'11", I couldn't flat-foot it. Really? I'm 5'11", I can flat-foot those bikes. It was hard to find neutral, and it was just overall cumbersome. I got my license, ran it for over a year, and then got my Gixxis 750. It was difficult, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Most bikes feel so comfortable and easy to maneuver and handle after that. But now I have friends that want to learn to ride. Obviously, between a DR650 and a Gixxis 750, I'm teaching my buddy on the DR. Maybe it would be better if there was an easier bike for him to teach on, but I have what I have. I tell him all the time when he's struggling a bit, once you learn on this, you'll be able to ride almost anything. What are y'all's thoughts on learning on a more challenging bike and then having an easy time versus learning on something easy and simple, starting at the bottom of the ladder, then having to climb up? That's an interesting thought. We were talking about this today with the R3 and the R7. Mm-hmm. I personally think that you should be on the easiest to ride bike you can for a beginner.
Yes.
There's no reason to be on something harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, because if you've never ridden a motorcycle before, you're developing a lot of new neural pathways. You need to rewire how you think about a lot of stuff. So if you're having to rewire yourself to ride like a super sport stance or something that's really weird like a quirky DR650, you might be doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
So
I have a perfect example of this. It's a bit strange, but when I started learning how to ride off-road, I did it on a friggin' Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled, 450-pound bike. It was like pulling teeth sometimes, and I was like, wow, do I just freaking suck at riding off-road? Why is this so hard? And then when I got my WR, I was like, this is easy peasy. Everything is easy as So yeah, sometimes it's not great to get a bike that's more challenging than it needs to be. Do you have any experience like that with any bikes?
I mean, I've been trying to learn off-road with the DRZ and a freaking goddamn Pan America, so
I still got to get you on something real lightweight, see how you go. Yeah, it's so easy to ride. It's ridiculous.
Next up, we got Honaha Yamada.
Says, yo, so my first bike was a 2002 V-Star 650. In my opinion, it was a fantastic beginner bike. Not only did it teach me how to do a lot of for power and not great handling, but even though it had carbs, it was relatively maintenance-free. Not completely, of course. It was my main source of transportation for a long while. It was my mule, to say the least. I wish I didn't have to sell it, but I wanted a bit more, and I could only have one bike. It's always sad when you got to let go of the beginner bike, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd kept my R3, but I didn't know any better at the time. I was like, I want Daytona, so I sold the R3.
My 750 is probably in a cube somewhere now. It's probably been smashed.
I bet my R3's gone through maybe several beginner riders at this point.
That's
probably traded and flipped and traded and flipped.
That's the good fate for one of those bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's taught many people. That's what it needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I consider my first true the first bike that really woke my mind up was the 919. So that's when I was like, oh, motorcycles are my thing.
Yeah.
So now we got Chancy Boy.
Chancy Boy says, I started out on a 1970 CB450 because it reminded me of my dad's favorite Hondas but had more power and a front disc brake. It was a great beginner bike in terms of power and weight, as well as having no ABS or electronic aids. It was terrible because it was 50 years old. Everything was fading to dust and parts are hard to come by. unless you're interested in cutting it up into another cliched cafe bike or scrambler. I had no patience for carbs, and the electrical system was a pain. If I could do it again, I would have grabbed a Grom or an MT-03. Still, I've never made more boomer friends in one summer than when I had the CB. Yeah, if you ride an old bike, man, oh my God, they come out of the woodworks. It's like you park at any gas station, they just appear like out of trees and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Like you just see a guy pop out of a manhole cover, be like, that's a nice bike, buddy.
Hey, is that a CB? This is something we say a lot on the channel, where it's like your first bike probably shouldn't be like a 50-year-old CB or something.
Shouldn't be a pain in the ass.
Nah, should just turn on and ride so you can enjoy riding and learn riding. And then when you need to wrench, it's simple stuff you're getting started with, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be, you know, finding a custom part for your cafe bike or whatever. The barrier to entry there's just way too high for a beginner.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me personally, it's not fun seeing some crap bike in the garage not running.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't go for a Grom either as a beginner bike. I would go for the full MT-03.
MT-03 all day.
Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about the same price, a Grom and an MT-03, which is crazy to think. Next up, you got Hacksaw SF.
Hacksaw SF says, my first bike was and still is a Sportster XR1200.
Nice.
It's a sweet bike. If I wasn't an old man in his 30s, it may have been too fast. It's actually pretty quick and comfortable, even if it is a bit of a pig at 550 pounds. I think a lot of people start on those 1200 Sportsters, man. It can definitely work for people.
You know the XR, right?
It's the one that's a little more
The XR is the fancy one.
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
fast boy one.
Yeah.
The XR is really cool. I would love to ride one of these.
Yes, the one with the orange paint. Yeah, I remember this.
They're just so cool. This is the one that they made, and everybody was like, oh, this is awesome. And then no one bought it. So
that's Harley's story.
They made a Sportster that handled good, and nobody bought it.
That would be fun to ride. That'd be fun. I'd like to check that bike out. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That would be I mean, I think it's on 17s. Looks like it's on 17s.
Yeah. The rake still looks a bit weird, but whatever.
It's a Sportster. What do you want? Dude, come on. They put 17s on it. It's good to go. Next up, we've got Alamer.
Alamer says, my first bike was the CB400 SF Honda Revo. The VTEC with the slip-on on it is such a beautiful little 4-cylinder screamer.
It's a Super 4.
And I wouldn't change it. Yeah, it's a Super 4. Those are cool. We never got them here in the U.S. as much. I've only seen them imported, like those old little 4-cylinder screamer bikes. But they can make a cool beginner bike.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put up with some weirdness.
Well, the Super 4, they make the modern ones. They're you can get totally new Super 4s.
What do you mean?
You can just buy if you live in Australia or something.
Yeah, you gotta live over there. Is what I'm saying. I can't go to Ride Now Austin and be like, where's my Super 4? You know?
Yeah, but you can. They don't. It's not like old bikes. You can still actually get.
Oh, they're still new. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They released the Super 4 like Siri Oro version or something.
Oh,
they
cool.
call it something.
Yeah.
And it's just these really cool little VTEC bikes.
Nice. All right, I think we got time for one more, unfortunately, because our camera just ran out, and we're now looking over there.
Yep. So last up, we got Jaden, who didn't say anything, and Cypherpunks.
Cypherpunks says, started with a Rebel 500. Loved it because it was really easy to ride. Still got it, but upgraded to a Scout Bobber 20 in September. Loved that too, and still considering myself a beginner rider. Yeah, Rebel 500, like we said.
Yep.
You can't go wrong, you know? And it's kind of cool to stay in that kind of cruiser line. You see that pretty often. Starting a baby cruiser, go to big cruiser.
I'm so glad I did not start on the Scout 60. Holy
yeah.
After riding the Scout around, the Scout 60 is no joke.
Yeah, no.
So it's a good thing that you went for the Rebel and then the Scout.
Yeah.
That's a good progression.
For sure. Well, that's going to wrap up our Discord DM session. Thanks so much for everyone for tuning in. We're now going to move over to the meme contest and see if we got any good memes this week. Or submissions, rather. Alrighty, boys. Welcome to the meme contest. This week's meme contest is a little different. We asked you guys, after our video of our most anticipated bikes of 2022, what was their most anticipated bike, right?
Yeah. What was the bike they are most excited to buy in 2022 and what they would pay for it?
All right.
What would they give to own this motorcycle?
All right. Let's see what they came up with.
Okay, so getting us started today, we have Adams with this little Ducati diatribe here.
Okay, Adam's here with a beautiful shot of the new Desert X, sending it through the desert, which is one of my most anticipated bikes of 2022. I think it just looks so freaking cool, man.
Yeah, it's a fancy whatchamacallit, Africa Twin.
No, it's not.
It's a fancy Africa Twin. It's
no,
cool.
It looks complete. It is cool, but it looks completely different. Why is every adventure bike an Africa Twin to you people? You adventure people.
The Pan America is not just an Africa Twin. It looks different.
It's kind of an Africa Twin if you think about it. All right, Adams here says, Ducati, light of my life, fire of my loins, my sin, my soul, Ducati, the tip of the tongue, taking a trip of 3 steps down a pallet to tap at a 3 on the 10th, Ducati. She was plain duck in the morning, standing 875 millimeters on her kickstand. She was the DX for short. She was Ducati at school. She was the 2022 Ducati Desert X on the dotted line, but in my arms she was always Ducati. For I would travel the ends of the earth, racing through the streets of Paris and across the sands of Africa. I would traverse the long way up, down, and round if I could only do it with her. I would climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow until I found my stream. Ducati. I would sell my flesh to the highest bidder and rent my bikes to the greatest noob, or maybe I would just take out a loan. The bike's what, 17 grand? Yeah, I could probably make that work, actually.
I like
done.
this one.
This was really good. I love that.
So willing to sell yourself to go a long way around until you have to do your Desmo service.
I just love to follow every rainbow.
So for Adams, the cool factor of the motorcycle that he wants.
I think it's an 8.5 at least for cool factor for the Desert X.
Yeah, I would have to give the Desert X a pretty solid number.
Yeah, I think 8.5.
And the price he's willing to pay for it.
How do I rate this? What do you mean?
I mean, he's ready to.
Can't we just do like creativity? I don't understand this metric.
So is he willing to give the appropriate number here? I would sell my flesh to the highest bidder and rent my bikes to the greenest noob.
I suppose so. So we have to rate him high because he was willing to sell a lot?
Is he giving too much though for the bike? Is it worth the coolness?
I think we axe this metric and just do like funniness or creativity because I'm not understanding it. It doesn't make sense.
Whitney understands me. All right. Okay. So
can you change that? It doesn't make sense.
Fine. We'll do funniness just to make your life easier.
Thank you, because I don't get what you mean. Maybe this is how the Discord boys feel when you come up with the contest and they're like, "What? What are we doing this week?"
All right. Funniness.
Funniness. Okay. What, a 7? I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. If you're so sad, we took away the price. I'm sorry. I didn't understand. How am I supposed to rate something I don't understand?
I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. All right. Next up, we've got who's up next? Fuchsia. With an actual video.
What is up, fellow Yamlet nooblets? The bike I want to buy in 2022 is the Yamaha R7. Why? Well, Yam did say it was a bike, and in my book, that means it's probably an excellent one. No, but in all seriousness, I got to test ride one, and the ergonomics are incredible for us taller people. I'm 6'2", and it felt amazing. And I think the lightweight platform that it's on is going to get more and more popular in the future. Right now, there's only really the R7 and the Aprilia RS660, but I think in the future, more and more manufacturers are going to get on board, and we're going to have more of these bikes to race. As for what I'd pay for it, MSRP?
See? They didn't get it either.
Give me something funny, people. God damn it.
The price thing didn't make sense.
I thought it's whatever. I'll move on. All right. So, cool factor.
R7 cool factor. Well, it doesn't have the screaming inline 6 sound, so it can't be cool.
You mean inline 4?
What'd I say?
6.
Never mind. R6 sound. It's late. It doesn't have.
It's not even that late. It's only 6 o'clock.
This is of a Yamcast right now. I think the R7 has a 6 out of 10 for coolness.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's like, it's really cool if you get it, and otherwise it's just kind of like sport bike. They did a really good job of capturing the R-Bike styling, but
yeah,
it's just an MT-07 that's got a fancy front end.
Yeah.
So 6.
6.
It's going to be hard to grade this guy on funniness now, isn't it? Because he didn't make a funny video. Although he did have those quips about showing...
Could do creativity.
Okay.
I guess.
So he
do you want to change it to creativity over the third change?
What is temporary... Editing is temporarily disabled. What the hell?
Go ahead and reload that page. Even Google's like, this Yamcast is cursed. What's happening? Google Sheets isn't working. Do we have well, I can just wait. There you go. Can you edit?
Yeah, well, let's find out. We're
doing creativity instead of funniness. And Adams had an 8.5.
He ended up with a 15.5, so I think he ended with a 7.
7
here.
there, yeah. Okay.
And then we gave
the
for
fuchsia
cool factor of this bike a 6.
And creativity for the poster. Whatever, just like an X Factor column, whatever.
I think this video was well done.
I like the quip about it being like, if I didn't like it, that means it's probably good, something like that.
While showing it sucks.
Yeah.
But then ideal sport bike.
Yeah.
There's some good. It's pretty well done.
Yeah.
All right. What would you give it?
How about a 7?
A 7.
Yeah. We will get through this fight.
All right. Sinjux is next.
Okay, Sinjux here wrote a small Bible. Let me read it. I just recently sold my 2002 Suzuki SV650. It was my first bike and I had it for over 8 years. I am now currently in the process of buying a 2022 Triumph Trident 660. I am so excited to join the ranks of fuel injection and never again touch a finicky carb or replace the regulator rectifier every spring. Oh, but carbs are so great. You guys just don't know how to work on it. But it's like everyone who owns a carb says, carbs. Why do I love the Trident 660 so much? No, please, someone tell me why I want this bike so much. From every review I've seen, including Big Papa Yam and Spite, the Trident 660 appears to be a fine motorcycle, but nothing inspiring. So why am I prepared to pay MSRP at a dealer? Why does this bike make me tingly in my no-no zone every time I see it or take it on a test ride? The world may never know. Rational is not a word I would use to describe those afflicted with motorcyclitis. However, if we are talking hypothetically of what I would pay for my dream bike, the new Aprilia 210 V4 Factory is way up there on my list. I would pay every bit of $10 a month and spam my friends' social media accounts with ads just with the chance at slapping my unworthy buttocks onto that gorgeous machine. Although, let's be real, the high you get from watching Yami hit a button on Google number generator, even if it's accidentally on a touchscreen, is enough to keep me going. You didn't see this probably, but on the FTR stream, I was pointing at the generate thing. I was like, are you guys ready? And I accidentally touched it because the surface is a touchscreen and I generated the button. And I was like, well, that's the person. All right, let me go find them. It was so anticlimactic. That was really funny. Yeah. I was like, all right, are you guys ready? And I just tapped it. I'm like, okay, that's the button. That's the number. All right. So Sinjux here wants a Trident 660, but would give $10 a month for an Aprilia 210 V4 Factory.
$10. He's willing to sign up to win it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like the way this was written. I've got the tingly in the no-no zone.
Yeah.
I like that line.
Yeah. That's good. He's gonna love going from an old SV650 to a Trident 660. He's gonna feel like the spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And once you get it over 600 miles, it turns into a street triple.
It just evolves like a Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 12,000 miles, it turns into a speed triple. It just keeps getting bigger.
So for cool factor on the Trident, what would you give the Trident? It looks nice.
I think it looks really cool. I think us as motorcyclists and people who have rode the Trident a lot, I didn't think it was that cool personally, but other people seem to think it looks really cool.
I mean, we watched the footage that we shot of the reveal, and it looks sweet.
It looks really sick.
That video.
I think it's at least a 7 for cool factor.
I agree. And the creativity here on what he wrote, I liked it.
I liked it too. I think a 7.
A 7.
She's giving them all 7s, I think, on creativity. We'll have to change it up.
Kialna is up next.
All right.
And I know she made a video here for us.
So now that I've got my full license, obviously I need to park something in front of this dojo that's worth being parked here. And, well, my sensible self says I will just take a minor loan to get a Ninja 650 or a little bit of a bigger loan for an Aprilia RS 660. But here is the thing, I would give my firstborn for a MV Agusta Brutale Dragster 800 RR.
Nice.
You know that
Nice.
I want that bike so bad. And isn't that worthy of a black belt? And putting it in front of this place? I think it is.
Nice. No more L plates. That's gotta feel good.
Yeah.
Chunking the L plates, you know? Although I will say, if I parked an MV Agusta like that outside, you know for damn sure I'd have 2 immobilizers on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's gonna get nicked. Good God.
Especially in the UK.
In London, or
Yeah.
I don't know if she lives in London, but in the UK in general, yeah, like, oh my God, dude.
But that Brutale, oh, those are so slick.
Yeah.
Those things are awesome.
They're very cool. Any of them are great. Yeah. The black and yellow one with the spoked wheels, though, and the triple exit exhaust. Super nice. Yeah, very, very cool.
I just remember being on a ride with a guy who was on an MV and it died halfway through because his electrical system didn't work.
Just Italian bike things, right?
Yup, held up the whole ride out at the bottom of Old Burnett Road. Okay, so for Kialna, cool factor, Brutale.
Very high. I think a 9. That's a
Yeah.
very cool motorcycle. Very, very cool.
That's a halo for a lot of people.
For sure, man.
And the creativity here. This was
That
good.
was a good edit. Yeah, I liked it. I think an 8.
An 8.
Yeah.
That's
Whoa,
17 for
Holy crap.
Kialna. Next up, we've got Gixxer Squid.
It's probably going to be a Gixxer.
Stößt auf Stahnsdorf vor. Der Feind operiert jetzt am nördlichen Stadtrand zwischen Frohnau und Pankow und im Osten ist der Feind bis zur Linie Lichtenbergsdorf-Karlshorst gelangt.
Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen.
Mein Führer, Steiner konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff leisten. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht verfolgt.
Die gesamte Generalität ist ein Haufen niederträchtiger, treuloser Feiglinge! Mein Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für die...
Oh no, is this footage of it being stolen?
Yup.
Oh, that sucks. Oh, can you imagine oh, someone just handling your bike like that, bro?
Oh, man.
Oh. That
was good.
That was very good.
That was very
You're
good.
all riding Sportsters from now on. The map is made in Italy. That was really good.
I love memes from that scene. They just come out so great.
They're so good, especially when they're like timed and made really well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, cool factor, the Hyper Motard or the Gixxer 600? The Hyper's pretty goddamn cool.
The Hyper's pretty sweet. I would give the Hyper an 8 for sure.
What would you get? We'll get average out the 2.
The Gixxer 600, like a 5.
So that becomes a 6.5. Is that the math on that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yikes. We'll round up to a 7 because
Let's
the
do a
Hyper
7,
is so
yeah.
cool. And the creativity here.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it.
That was great.
That was awesome. Especially since he was like, "What the is it asking for in this meme contest?" Like he asked for this. That was so good.
Okay. Now we've got Jaded Calamari.
Jada Calamari here. I would get dressed in clothes that I bought for work and drive through traffic in a truck that I still owe money for in order to get the job I need to pay for the clothes and the truck and the Bimoda that I want and will probably leave at home all day so I can work to afford it. Bimoda. I definitely felt that a little bit when I had my first Daytona. Like, I worked so much, and I just saw it in my garage and being like, oh, I have to go to sleep to wake up to work tomorrow to be able to afford this thing. I was like, when do I get to ride it? Kind of sucked sometimes, man.
Man, would you go get a Bimota though? Like, really?
No, hell no. No way, no chance.
But here's the thing though, they're just Kawasaki's.
Yeah, basically, but they're also not. You know, like, they're also not. Listen, the only Bimota I would get is a Tezzy H2.
Hell yeah.
That
Absolutely.
would be ridiculous.
With the like dual swing arm setup
Pull up to any bike night.
on a Tezzy H2.
Any bike night. You're the star. You have a Tezzy H2. Everyone's going to want to come look at it.
Yeah. So, cool factor on the Bimota here for Jaded.
Well, it didn't give me a specific Bimota model. It just said Bimota.
Bimota, period.
Just a Bimota, period.
So, generally Bimota.
A Bimota's is pretty cool. I've never seen one on the road, ever.
No, never.
Never. So, pretty cool. I'd give it like an 8 for coolness.
Yeah. And creativity here.
I think a 6.
A 6.
Yeah. Text meme, pretty funny. You know, I liked it.
Next up, we've got Rude.
Just rude.
With... Oops.
All right. Might want to make this bigger. I can't really see what's going on. Rude here says our price is $11,499. Contemplating. And it says censored Rude 40% off the free month. Saving up for motors. Is that an OnlyFans page?
Yeah. PM me for customs and feet pics.
And then he has the keys to the bike. Nice. That's good.
I like that.
Yeah. Clever. So that's a KRT ZX6, if I can see that correctly. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Sweet ride. Very sweet ride.
Those KRT bikes, they look really good.
They do.
The KRT livery is really good.
Have you seen the ZX10 with the gold hexagons and the red?
Yeah.
It looks bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though the front end looks a little,
A little questionable.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, for Rude here, cool factor, KRT ZX6.
Brand spanking new. I think that's an 8 for sure. Yeah.
An 8.
I like it. Cool bike.
And creativity.
Pretty creative. Yeah. How about an 8.5?
An 8.5.
Yeah. I liked it.
That's a 16.5 for Rude. Next up, we've got the Chazen.
Oh boy. Trail 125. When you already own the dream and are greedy for more. It says, did you get a Trail 125? Yes. What would you give for a second Trail 125? Everything. Such a Trail 125 simp. My question to him is, has he ridden anything else?
Probably not. He's just like, this is it's ostrich buried his head in the sand. This is the greatest thing ever.
Greatest thing ever. I think they're probably fun little bikes. They can't possibly be the greatest bikes ever, Like, come on.
Well, Zach and Ari took a Trail 125 all the way through Alaska.
So that means it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right.
Zach and Ari did it.
Well, I'm proven wrong. There you go. If Zach and Ari did something, then there you go. What do I know?
So, for the Chazen, cool factor, Trail 125.
I think if you're a non-motorcyclist and you saw that, you would not think it's cool.
No, you'd just be like, what is this?
Yeah, you'd just be like, little moped. Mm-hmm. Cool moped. I think it has like a 4 for coolness.
Yeah.
It's not very cool. We think it's neat, but I don't think it's a cool motorcycle.
No. And creativity here.
Pretty funny little post here. How about a 6?
A 6.
Yeah.
Next up, we got, I can't read that. So
Yank Heater.
There we go. Yankee Hater. 18.
The bike I want to purchase most in 2022 is my first bike, anything on 2 wheels with fuel injection. After months of watching Yami bin a Sparpil and 401 in a ditch, Fortnite rap about the BMW G310R, Zach Quartz wheeling an MT-07 around Los Angeles, and Spite complain about the throttle on a Triumph Trident, I am nearing a decision. It seems that the perfect bike for me might be a bike once dubbed the perfect toilet, the Ninja 400. It is the Galaxy Brain's choice for a beginner bike after having contemplated outwitted every beginner Euro naked bike on the market today. What would I pay for it? My soul and those of my named but unborn children. My wife has agreed to these terms in exchange for the patrician excellence of the Chipotle of beginner bikes. God, people really don't forget when you say certain things, man.
No.
There's like, you called it a toilet. You called it Chipotle. I'm like, I'm not wrong.
It's accurate.
I'm not wrong. And it's still good. I sometimes eat Chipotle. It's fine.
The Ninja 400 would be, if you were going to do it over again,
That's
you'd
what I
start
said.
on the Ninja 400.
It's a really good little bike. Yeah.
But is it cool?
I think it's reasonably cool. I think it's like a 5.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it does say big on the side, 400. So you can't tell anybody it's a little bike. Or a big bike, rather.
Yeah, you could be like, that's the horsepower, man. It makes 400 horsepower.
Yeah. Totally fine. Yeah.
Creativity here of the little post you wrote.
I liked it. How about a 7?
A 7.
Yeah. It's been funny, speaking of 400 horsepower motorcycles, it's been funny with some of the Turbo Hayabusa content. I've seen some big turbo car guys kind of posting and stuff. They're just like, how would this compare to my 700 horsepower Supra? I'm like, it doesn't. I'm like, it's so much faster than whatever the have. You don't understand what this is. The with your 700 horsepower car, I don't give it's a 300 horsepower Busa. Don't at me with that.
Oh man, I've been telling him every day for the past 2 weeks that when it's done, he's going to be dailying this Hayabusa.
For sure.
I'm telling you.
I will.
You're going to become a daily rider Hayabusa, man.
With as much time and effort and as little as I've ridden the bike in the past year, you're damn right I'm going to daily it for a month.
It's going to be more than a month. You are going to fall in love with this motorcycle. It's coming. You
wait till you ride it. You don't understand.
It's good. So what you said, 330?
330 is the goal, yeah.
All right.
But then we're going to have to adjust the geometry to make it so that it doesn't just go whoop. It's going to have to be lowered and fixed a little bit, but there's mods coming.
And stretched with a bigger
It'll
rear
never
tire.
get stretched. It'll never get stretched. It doesn't need to.
It's going to get stretched and it's going to have a bigger rear tire.
You can change it and modify it, so you don't need to stretch it. I'm telling you. It's not a drag bike. You don't need to stretch. I'm not launching it off a dig.
But what airbrush are you getting on it?
Well, the serpent ladies, of course.
Are you going to get Yamcast airbrushed on there?
No, I'm getting serpent ladies with my visage, with big titties, and milking them. I already have a vision. Don't worry.
Oh man, here we go. Okay,
it'll be
moving on.
a sleeper Turbo Boost. Everyone knows that.
Last up, we have the Techno King.
Papa Yam, there's only one motorcycle that I would love to get my hands on. Unfortunately, thanks to my two-wheeled addiction, there's not much I can afford anymore, as I struggle to feed myself and my family. Nowadays, if I want to go out for a ride, all I can hope to do is push the motorcycle down a hill and coast. Now, the motorcycle in question is a 1984 GSX 750 S8 Katana with the pop-up headlights.
Oh.
This motorcycle. I will kiss you on the headgear. I will brush Spite's hair. If need be, I will get aggressive. I will unturbo your Busa. I will airbrush naked ladies into every Daytona I see. I will take a Versus 650 to the drag strip or a Niken to the racetrack. There's not much on this planet that I won't do for that bike. And one day, it shall be mine.
Nice. That's a cool bike.
Yeah, the pop-up headlight on the motorcycle.
Dude, pop-up headlight Suzuki Katana. Bro.
That is classic old JDM stuff right there.
That is
just so cool.
I didn't even know they made that with the pop-up headlight. That is so slick. That might be a 10 out of 10 coolness factor. What other bike has a pop-up headlight?
And I mean, it's the 750 from back in the day. That was the King Dick motorcycle.
Yeah.
That was the fastest thing on the road.
That's the one, yeah. And the design language of the original Katana was so different and cool, you know? Super cool bike. 10 out of 10 for coolness.
Yeah.
Great choice.
For sure.
Great choice.
And creativity here.
I thought the synthwave retro future 80s thing was pretty cool. I like the voice effect. How about a 7?
A 7.
Yeah.
That's a 17. So we have a
fuck.
three-way runoff for first place. Is that what that is?
Yeah. That's Kiana, Jixer Squid, and Techno King.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Jixer Squid has to take first place.
So we had the Mein Führer, the one from whatchamacallit, whatever.
Yeah.
Over that one, you think that one takes first place?
The Mein Führer one, that's first place is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's Jixer Squid.
Yeah. I think that's first place.
All right. For some reason, I heard Techno King.
No. I think the Führer one is first place for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, has to be. And the poor guy's bike got stolen. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, that was brutal.
So then our other 17s, we can figure out second and third place, I guess.
Yep.
I think between the old school Katana and the new MV Agusta, because they both made videos, they're both good posts.
The bikes are. It's
tough.
It's really tough.
If you saw both of them, I think I would be drawn to the Katana first, honestly, because I've never seen one before.
But if you were putting the money down,
if I was buying it,
yeah, I feel like I would go with the MV.
I would go with the Katana. My tastes nowadays, and I'm a diehard Suzuki boy at this point. I got to get the Katana, you know?
This is tough. The Katana is really cool with the pop-up headlight.
Yeah. I say we give them both second place, and we do 2 second place prizes.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
That was a really tough one to...
That's a tough one to call. And because we botched the submissions today a little bit, so we'll give them a bone.
So that puts third place to Rude.
Nice.
And there we have it.
All right. That's it, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's Yamcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, you can join over on yammynoob.co, become a member. If you've made it this far into the Yamcast, you are clearly a diehard Yammynoob fan, and you would very much enjoy being on the Discord if you're not on the Discord. So join over on yammynoob.co. We'll check in the next one. See you later. Keep watching Yammy Noob.